This is the BCMM network. The following broadcast is solely for the enjoyment and entertainment of our audience. This is the Blue Collar Minute Men Show.
All right. Welcome to the Blue Collar Minute Men Show. And as we told you, we have a special guest with us today. If you all were with us during his birthday, Mr. Clyde Clouse, 100 years old, World War II veteran. He is here with us today, and he is going to share his story with us today. So, Bill, any comments?
Just wanted to say welcome to the show. We're glad you're here.
Thank you very much.
And we're very anxious to hear your story.
Well, shall I start from the beginning?
Start from the beginning, wherever you want to start.
Well, I'm not a native of Somerset originally.
Okay.
I'm from Corbin originally. I graduated from Lincoln High School in 1940 and from Perry Business College in 1941. And I went to work then in Cincinnati because I couldn't find a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked at White Aeronautical Corporation in their payroll department. They were making aircraft engines for the war effort.
Right.
And I received my notice of induction from Barberville, Kentucky, which was the county seat of Knox County.
Right.
And we went to Fort Thomas, Kentucky, and took our various tests for the Army there. And I was assigned to take my basic training at Camp Grant, Illinois in 1942. And after completing basic training there, they withheld me at the camp and sent me to Army Clerical School. And from that, when I finished it, I was assigned to Fitzsimmons General Hospital in Denver, Colorado. And I told them when I got there that I didn't want to be assigned to Fitzsimmons as a permanent veteran there, but I wanted to go overseas, have overseas duty. And they said, well, you have a little problem and you'll have to have surgery. And I said, well, fine, sign me up. That's where I want to go.
Right.
And so they did. And I had surgery and was in, from there I was sent to the University of Wyoming. And there was a replacement center. And they sent me from there to the University of South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
And when I completed that, they sent me back to Camp Grant, Illinois, where I had taken my basic, to a replacement center there. And from there, I went to Camp Forest, Tennessee, with the 216th General Hospital. And they were ready to ship out for overseas duty. And we went to Camp Kilmer, New Jersey, and from there to the port of embarkation in New York City. And we got on the ship there, and the ship was the Ile de France. There was a French luxury liner prior to the war. Mm-hmm. But believe you me, every bit of luxury had been stripped from the ship. It was a hole.
Just a big open hole.
Big open hole. And we loaded on board, and the hard thing for people to imagine, there were 35,000 troops on board that ship. And I confirmed that two or three the different sailors on board, and they all confirmed that was right. And it took us 9 days to cross the Atlantic by ourselves, unescorted. And we landed in Gort, Scotland. And we got on the train there. We went up the Clyde River, and this is the funny part. My first name being Clyde, I told the guys on the ship that the river was named after me.
That's a good name then.
Yeah, good name. And then we got on the ship and went across Scotland into England. And we got into London, England. And we got in during a German air raid. And that was the first time that I really faced the fact head on that we were now in a war zone. But fortunately, the bombing of London at that bombing trip was a little away from where our train was. But we weren't allowed to strike a match. We had to pull the blackout curtains so the planes couldn't see where we were.
Right.
And we were there for London about maybe 2 weeks. And then we were sent on to where our permanent assignment was in England. We were with the General Hospital, 216th General Hospital. And we were stationed there for close to 16 months in that one hospital. And I was a chief clerk in the laboratory of the hospital. And as such, I had to be involved in taking notes at every autopsy that was performed. And we were in the morgue doing autopsies the night the invasion started. And I told the colonel who was doing the work on the autopsy that I was going outside and look. Well, I was hearing a lot of aircraft going over, and I thought that time I was hoping it was the invasion. But I went out and sure enough, I looked up and the sky was full of planes pulling aircraft with them.
The gliders.
Yeah, and from there I went back in and told the colonel, I said, Colonel, I believe the invasion is on. And he said, well, I'm going out and take a look. And he did. He went out and took a look. And sure enough, he came back in and he said, I think you're right. And we weren't sure of that until the following morning. The 2 pilots came into the hospital. They had mechanical problems with the plane, and they had to bail out. And they landed in a group of trees and were scratched up pretty bad from the landing. And we were there for 16 months, and then we were shipped. We landed at Lahore, France, and we were shipped on to Verdun, France. And my father, by the way, was a World War I veteran, and he was in Verdun, France in World War I.
And then you were there in World War II.
Yeah, and from there, we went into Stuttgart, Germany. And we were in Stuttgart for the rest of my active duty until we were shipped back on the port system when it was discharging. The war was over there. And I've got a picture here of me and a little German girl. She was about yay high. That picture was made in the Stuttgart, Germany. That's a little German girl. And she, when I would go by.
That is awesome.
That's Clyde.
When I would go by, the first time she came running out with a little hand cupped, and I put a candy bar in her hand. And she turned and grinned at me. And ran back into to her house, And I never saw an adult at the home. And every time I would go by, how she knew I was coming, I don't know. But every time I would go by, she would come with a little hand stuck out like that. And I'd put either a candy bar or a pack of chewing gum or some little gift for her in her hand. And she'd look up at me and grin. And this time I told my buddy, he had a camera.
Mhm.
And I told him, I want you to take a picture of me and the little girl. And that was the picture that was made. That was the little girl.
Wow.
That's in Stuttgart, Germany.
Did you ever know her name?
Never knew her name.
Never knew her name.
And I never knew whether her father may have been a prisoner of war still,
Mhm.
or maybe killed in service, or maybe he was discharged and was afraid to come out because we were American soldiers.
Right.
Mhm.
And he might have been afraid that we would do him harm, you know. And so we just let it go. But that had so happened, we got a picture that time, and that was the last time I ever saw the little girl. And one night recently, well, 2 years ago, I guess, I was in my bedroom in there,
Mhm.
and the latch on the closet door, the little lights came on, and I don't have little lights on the closet door.
Mhm.
And they came on, and they were slanted all of them in different colors. And so help me, right in the middle on the door itself, it certainly lighted up.
Mhm.
And there was a woman there. And she looked at me with a real pleasant look and smiled real big at me. I had been wondering for days, that little girl came to my mind. And I was wondering for days, whatever happened to her. And there was features in the vision that this woman that was on the door,
Mhm.
of features of that little girl.
Oh.
And I'm just wondering if somehow or other, the little girl was going, well, she would have been grown.
Yeah, right.
But if she was letting me know that she was still alive, and that's the little thing I can make of it.
Wow.
And of course, I traveled when I got back to the States. One of the seams on the ship broke, and we had to put into the Azores for 3 days to get the ship welded back together so we could get home.
Well, I was told.
And we were at Camp Kilmer, New Jersey,
Mhm.
and then they sent me on to Indiana for discharge. And that was while Army career. I had 4 years in service.
Okay. Well, I was told to ask you about the guy who followed you that was like crossing the bridge.
Yeah,
What happened there?
well, he put in Stuttgart, there was still friction.
Mhm.
And a lot of guys that were already been discharged from prison camp, they were shooting. You know, Germans would shoot Americans.
Right.
Americans next to that would go out and shoot Germans, and that's fact.
Yeah.
And anyhow, when I was coming back, going back to my hospital room one night, just pluck, 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 pluck a German pluck certain boots
Mhm.
behind me, and I had to cross a wooden bridge. And I had a little pistol in my pocket. And I thought I'd been cutting corners trying to see, and he was following me. And I said, well, to myself, I said, no, okay, now when I get to the middle of the bridge, if he's still following me, I'm gonna put my gun out and we're gonna have a showdown. And so sure enough, he came to the end of the bridge. When I got back to the bridge, and he was following me. And I pulled my little gun out and turned around like that. And I told him in English, I said, you make one more step and it's your last. And like that, he went, turned real fast and left. So that was towards them. I never saw them again. But there was a lot of ugly things happening in Stuttgart at the time.
Right.
So that was it. And we were discharged in India. I think I think. That was my service. When I came out, I couldn't find a job in Corbin. And they sent me to Lexington to take training for a job with the Veterans Administration. And when I completed that, there were two places in Kentucky that was available. One was Hazard, Kentucky, and one was Somerset. And I had always loved Somerset. I thought it was one of the cleanest, neatest little town, much cleaner than Corbin, because Corbin was the center for the Illinois Railroad. My father
Right.
worked there for the Illinois Railroad. And you could walk down the street and the set on the street would park, you know, and it was just dirty from the train traffic. Trains, I've seen them come through there, that the lead engine would be out of hearing distance before the double header pushing behind the train ever came through, and it was that way day and night.
Oh, wow.
You'd think they'd hauled off Eastern Kentucky. So when I finished up my training, I saw two people in Lexington that were on the ship with me when I came back from Germany.
Oh, okay.
One was from West Virginia, taking his training in Lexington, and the other one was from Lexington. And when we were having the ship repaired, they gave all of us a chance to go on board or off board onto the land there in the Azores, but I didn't go. And there was one guy stayed over beyond his length of time, and we had to hold up the ship sailing until he came back and got on. But we finally ran back. And would you believe that I was eating lunch in Lexington, and there was the guy that I had put on KP on
On KP.
on KP. And I walked over to him and I sat down by him and I looked at him and he looked at me and I said, "Do you remember me?" And he said, "Yeah, I think I do." And I said, "Well, if you don't, I'm the guy to put you on KP."
You ever,
We sat there and had a real good chuckle out of it, you know.
you ever done that to somebody, Bill? Run into someone?
And the other guy that I saw on there was our supply officer. That had been with me, well, I was with there for about 2 years. And he was a supply officer all that time in our outfit. But that pretty much it. What I got in Somerset, we had the guy in charge. We were on where the employment office used to be on Fountain Square. And we had 2 desks, big office, 2 desks, a file cabinet, and a typewriter, and supply cabinet. That was our office. And we were there until we had an office at home.
Right.
And that's about what I got here. The Veterans Administration, after I've been here a while, wanted to transfer me to the finance department in Louisville, Kentucky. And I had seen enough big cities in my Army career that I didn't want any part of a big city again. And I said, "Well, I appreciate the offer, but no thank you." So I worked different places, and finally I was manager of the charcoal packaging plant down the table. until they went out of business. They couldn't get charcoal that would burn in their packages
Right.
from the local plant. We had to close the local plant. And from there, I went on my own. I started an accounting service because I had graduated from accounting school. And I did that until I retired.
Okay.
And that led up to where we are today.
Well, I have to ask you, when you said you were on the ship and there were 35,000 soldiers on there, were you all just packed in like sardines?
We were packed in. The ship was a huge ship.
Mhm.
It was 800 feet long. And that's a good sized ship.
Mhm.
And I don't know how many decks there were. But we, unfortunately for us, we were in the very bottom of the ship. And they had redone those ships before they put soldiers on them to
Mhm.
start. Because Hitler had offered a huge reward to the submarine crew that would set the Elder Threats and the Queen Mary and the Queen Elizabeth were the two British liners
Mhm.
that were equivalent to the Elder Threats. And
Were you able to go around the ship or were you still just stuck in the hole of the ship? Is that
no,
where you
I was able to go
Okay.
around, and believe me, I went around. Because you never know when we had a German POW
Mhm.
in our group to clean latrines and do dirty work, so to speak.
Right.
And he told me that Hitler had offered the big reward for them if they could set it. And he said, that sounds like a war story to me, but he said it for the truth, that he was on a submarine outside the New York Harbor waiting for our ship when we sailed.
Wow.
And it had the capability of being such a speedy ship
Mhm.
that it got by before they could get in position to fire the
Gotcha.
torpedo. And if that were true, we missed the boat by a small amount.
Right. Bill was wanting to show you, was that the,
Oh, I can get this out, right? Is that your ship?
Well, yeah, that's the Elder
The other
France.
France, yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
that's it. Man, that's a big ship.
golly.
Isn't that a big
That's-
thing?
Here's a picture of the ship that Clyde was on going across the ocean there. If I may.
See if you can get it up
There
there.
we go. That's the ship,
The Elder France.
the Elder France.
After we closed the plant here, the charcoal plant,
Mhm.
I opened my own business as an accountant.
Mhm.
And I had an accounting service for the next probably 40 years and until I retired.
Right.
And here I am retired. I'm 100 years and 2 months old.
Well, we're glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
Not a lot of people have that opportunity.
No, that's true. No,
And
I've been very fortunate.
yes, sir. I'm just glad that I can be here to listen to your story that you have to tell, because you have knowledge of things that I didn't know anything about. I didn't grow up then. All I know it as is history. But to hear you tell it, you know, it hits me and makes me know and understand the reality that was what you went through at that time.
Well, and looking at this,
Mhm.
you can see how much travel I got while I was in service. Travel that I never would have gotten otherwise.
Yeah. That's one of the things the Army always says, come join the Army, you can see the world.
They'll tell you how you're gonna get there. but
Yeah. They don't tell you how you can get there, but they'll show you the world.
It says about his ship, in 1940, it was transport, it was a luxury liner. And in 1940, it was stripped and transferred into a troop ship to take American soldiers into the war.
Yeah, Low as one was. Going out.
It was partially sunk in 1943, but they were able to repair it. They got hit by a German U-boat while carrying troops and partially sunk, but they were able to repair it, and it kept going all the way through the war.
Wow. And you know something, Bill, they don't build ships like that anymore.
No,
Those were, you're talking steel ships. Now, you think of a ocean liner today, especially a luxury ship, it doesn't have that type of built material into it. It's fiberglass, light materials, aircraft materials. So,
Well, this one, in 1959, it was used, its final mission was sailed to Japan and was used in the movie The Last Voyage.
Huh.
As you can see the ship in the movie The Last Voyage.
the last voyage.
well, I can imagine that in the peacetime, before they converted it to a troop ship,
Mhm.
that it was really a luxury liner. And one day, I had a fella came there to visit here, and I told him how many troops we had on the ship, and he didn't believe me.
Mhm.
So I said, okay. I called my friend, my best army buddy,
Mhm.
who was in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
And I said, now, I'm not going to tell him, and then he'll tell you how many troops were on the ship.
Mhm.
And I called him, and I gave the guy the phone, and he asked him how many troops, and the guy told him 35,000, and then he believed me. That's how many troops were on there. You had to nudge your way through them almost, you know, there was so many people.
Yeah, even when I went through basic training, they pack us on what they call the cattle trucks, and you'd be packed in there with all of your gear, and the person in front of you, his pack is in your chest, and
Yeah.
your pack is in the guy's chest behind you.
Yeah.
So I understand how that is.
Yeah.
We used to say it was called pack 'em in, nut to butt.
Well, the funny thing I remember about basic training, we were in what was called Tent City,
Mhm.
and there were 5 of us in tent, 3 on the back and 1 on each side of the front door.
Mhm.
We 5. And the guy that was always behind me when we were on a hike, he never learned how to pack his backpack. And that was, I'm behind me, I was picking up his stuff and adding it to what I already had. And we get back to the tent,
Mhm.
and we'd have to divide up the stuff. He'd have an empty pack, and I'd have 2 packs.
You'd be carrying his load. Do you have some questions there, Bill?
Oh, I'm still looking up a few things. I'd like to see some of his stuff he's got here to show us.
Oh, do you have a few things in there, Clyde, or?
Let's see what I have in here. There's a list of all my outfit.
Oh, wow.
And here is my vaccination record.
Wow. Our vaccination records look totally different than that nowadays when you're in the military.
They're like books full of.
Yeah. This is amazing.
This is my,
I won't show any names, but this is the personnel book of the 216th. I'm not going to show any names from it, but those guys are in here.
this is my diploma from high school. Knox County, Lynn Camp.
I used to be a deputy sheriff down there. I used to be a deputy sheriff in Knox County.
Is that right?
Lived in Barberville.
Well, Margaretville was my, that's from my headboard, when my dashboard.
Mhm.
And that's where I was drafted from, that Margaretville.
I used to work down there.
Well, how about that? Never get too far away, you couldn't find somebody.
I'm telling you.
And let's see. That's the camp we were in at Fort Illinois, campground Illinois.
Okay, I can see there's a little bit of glare here, but I think you can see that. pretty good.
There's, we were on the boat crossing the English Channel that was made.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, put that one on there.
Clyde on the ship crossing the English Channel. That's just amazing.
Knox County High School report
There's
card.
the card.
Let's see what kind of grades you got. Oh, must have been pretty smart. You know, A's, B's. This is from 1932. That's amazing. I couldn't tell you where any of mine are.
I think my mom has all mine.
Notice down here. Me and my buddy went fishing. That's true. That's the oldest you got. There's. That's the one in the picture. That's the one, that's my, me and my.
Get to
There's another picture of me.
Wow. Bill, I don't think the military's tents have changed much.
I don't think they have. Here's his report. Orders for induction into the military. It's from 1942.
That's the list of soldiers that bought from Barberville. There's my name in there somewhere.
Yeah, right there. I see it
Yeah.
right there.
That's the list in my group that was.
Wow.
Still has all these lists. Soldiers you served with. What's this one?
There's a lot, I'm saying.
This is
Very,
this is the what the DD-214 is now.
Yeah. Whoa, that's what the DD-214 used to be?
That's what they used to look like. You all in the service would know what a DD-214 is. See, it's got all of this education, all of this assignments, everything on there.
oh, sure, that was issued to us in New Jersey.
His armband.
That was to put around our arm
Right,
when we got into the war zone.
right.
And I kept mine all this time.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Well,
That is fascinating.
that's all I've got, but my discharge itself is in another file, and I don't have it out
Well,
yet.
that's fun.
Yeah.
Here's something that we would like to ask you while we're sitting here.
Yeah,
What do you think about, okay, in 1945, when you got out of the war, you came home, what's some of the biggest differences in our country from then to now?
well, now I really don't know how to explain it. But back then, when I first came out, we were job hunting, and that's about all we did until we found a job. You
Right.
know. But the people were different. You could still walk out and feel safe. And now, you know, after when you get in the crowd, you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
There we are. There's mine. Discharge.
There it is. There's the discharge papers.
That was made in Stuttgart, Germany.
Look at that strapping young soldier there. It's in Stuttgart, Germany.
And look at this one. This one in Stuttgart. You can tell by the name there, that's a German name.
Yeah.
That's another picture. You may not want all those pictures.
Oh, I love looking at photos. Photos tell a history and tell of the past.
Okay.
Well, that's just an old picture. That's me and my father and mother, and that's a relative we were visiting. I don't know why that got in there, but it did.
I was in Hohenfels, Germany in 2018, 2019.
I spent a lot of time in Stuttgart, Hohenfels, Nuremberg. I was stationed in Italy, and we used to go up there to go to the field.
Well, we weren't far from Switzerland. I had a pass
Mhm.
to go to Switzerland. And on the point system, my number of points was high in the outfit because I've been in the army longer than a lot of the guys. And they sent me up from Stuttgart all the way across the nation of Germany to the North Sea. And we got on the Norway Victor ship. And that's the one that we split a seam on and put into the Azores for the Paris.
I actually went up to that port there in North Germany, picked up a motorcycle,
Was that right?
rode that motorcycle all the way through Germany,
Yeah,
to Austria, and back into Italy.
boy.
That was a good ride.
Yeah, I reckon. Are you a World War II veteran?
No, not that old. Not that old. It was long after the war. This was back in the 80s. I was stationed in Italy with,
Was that right?
so when we got over, we shipped our vehicles over with us because we're gonna be there for 3 years. So I had a motorcycle. We had to go all the way up to the port in Hamburg, or North Germany,
Oh,
and get our motorcycles off the ship and then ride them back to Italy. That was a good ride.
well, I've often wondered whatever happened to my little girlfriend there, but I guess I'll never know for sure. But I don't have anything else I can show you from Germany.
Well, we'll just pick your brain a little bit.
Well, Clyde, of course, you had already mentioned things have changed so much since then to now.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, now we, I mean, I'll just come out and say it, you know, they're wanting to do these vaccination cards, and a lot of people are saying that that was the same thing the Germans did back during the war. Just now it's just with these cards. What is your opinion on how the government now is handling things versus how the government used to be?
Well, really, Joe, to me, the way things are going, it seems as our true democracy is sliding downhill year to year to year. And if it keeps on going in the direction that it's been going for the last several years, we're not gonna wind up with the same country eventually that we have today.
I agree with you.
I agree. A lot of people don't understand the price of freedom.
No,
And Bill, you, me, other veterans understand that. What would you tell young folks who haven't been in the military about freedom and why it's so essential that you fight for it to you?
well, the freedom, if you don't have freedom, you're controlled in every section of life that you try to participate in.
Mhm.
And if you have freedom, you can go and do a few things without having somebody looking down your throat and telling you can't do it, or if you do it, the penalty is so great you're afraid to do it.
Right.
And we're sliding, to me, in that direction, to where we're going to be told what we can do and what we can't do, and our freedom is going to be limited until, well, I would say until we become a dictatorship.
I agree. You said it best, Clyde.
Yeah. Now, everybody pay attention. The man knows he's been around, he's seen a lot. So, same thing we've been telling you for a while now. Pay attention to what's going on. We have a few things for God.
Yes, we do. Clyde, we don't have a whole lot, but we'd like to give you that. That's our sticker for the Blue Collar Minutemen.
That's the sticker for our show.
It is the Gadsden snake with a long rifle.
Uh-huh.
The story behind that is that, of course, the Gadsden snake is used a lot for "Don't Tread on Me," which we use that saying "Don't tread on us," but the rifle is for "But we're always ready to defend." And then this is just a photo of us. Justin couldn't be here with us today. He wanted to, but he had to attend a family gathering.
Uh-huh.
And then we also want to present you with this coffee mug that also
Yeah,
has
thank you so much.
that also has our sticker on it.
Great. Well, how about you? Those are great.
And those,
Did you want to leave this?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
sir.
for you.
That's for you.
Okay. Well, fine.
And you can put that.
Somebody out on the porch.
Okay.
Well, we're about running out of time here. We would just like to let you have the last word. What would you like to tell people out there? You can tell them anything you want to tell
Well, I'd love to see this remain a free country where we can do what is legally right to do. That is not dictated to us by somebody enforcing us to do what we want to do. And I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to be a part of the United States forces in World War II. And that I was fortunate enough to come out without any real problems of any kind. I had major surgery when I was in service in order to be able to go overseas. And I've been in Somerset since 1946, and I've seen it grow from a little hick town to a fairly decent little town, you know. And I dearly love Somerset.
We're glad to know you.
Yes.
We're honored to know you.
And sir, thank you.
Thank you very much for your service.
Well, I'm just glad to do. If I've done something that's helpful, I'm glad to do that.
Thank you. Without you,
So nice to have you guys take the time to come by and talk with me, and I enjoyed it.
We enjoyed it too. And I'm hoping our listeners out there enjoyed it. I'm sure they did. Just a good day.
Yes, it was. Well, I'm not gonna say it anymore. Clyde just said it. You know, he wants to see this country stay the way it is. Freedom for everyone. And we've got to do our part. Clyde did his part. The reins have been handed over to the rest of us. Time we do ours.
Amen.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Clyde.
Thank you, Clyde.
And we'll see you all next time. God bless you all and God bless America.